Hi, I'm Nikki from thecommunicationcoach.co.uk and welcome to day 7 of my 10-day challenge. Thank you for taking 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to be with me, and also for all your feedback and your comments on the last few videos. And we're talking about listening at the moment. We talked about combative listening yesterday and how your values and beliefs affect how you communicate, and quite often the words that you say just come out. And we'll talk about emotional and logical and rational conversation a little further down the line. If not in these 10-day videos, then I'll certainly be doing some podcasts and some other videos. So let's carry on with the theme of listening. And today we're going to talk about something that some people call competitive listening. And I often refer to it as listening to give your side of the story, or to share your experience. And what I mean by that is, perhaps you can relate to this when you've had a conversation with somebody who has been telling you about a challenge that they have in their life, whatever that might be. Perhaps they have elderly parents who they are worried about. Perhaps they have a family member that's suddenly been taken ill. Perhaps they are being made redundant or are struggling to meet their next financial payment on their mortgage. It could be anything. But it'll be something quite big, and it'll be something that is troubling them and is having an impact on their day-to-day life. Now, often when people share these stories with us, what we do is we go, oh, do you know what, I've got an experience just like that. And we wait for our turn in the conversation, and then we share our experience. And by doing that, what we have done is taken the whole conversation and made it about us. You know, I've said before, it's all about you. Well, it is all about you. And our brain works in a way that when we can relate to a story, what we want to do is to share it and to tell other people. Not necessarily because we're even thinking about, oh, this is all about me, but we just do it naturally because we're not conscious of how our brain is working and the words that we're going to say. And often there are times when perhaps rather than saying, here's my story, let me tell you about me, we could just reflect back what the other person has said to us and help them to look at their challenge from a different angle. Often we find in psychology that people who are internalizing a challenge or an issue or a problem that they're facing cannot see a pathway. And to us, we might be standing there going, I'm listening to what you're saying and I can see a completely different way than you are talking about, and I can't actually understand why you haven't even looked at doing it this way rather than that way. And again, that is all about us. That is solving a problem according to what we believe to be true. Whereas if we listen and we reflect back the language that we hear from other people, what happens is it helps them to externalize the challenge or the problem that they're facing. And often just by doing that and talking the problem through and having it reflected back to them, what happens is that they see a different pathway, perhaps a pathway that they had never even known was there, but because they can now see the problem in a different way, they're able to go, oh, actually, I haven't thought about that before, and now I'm going to give that a go. Now, it might not necessarily be the answer to the problem, but it might be, or it might be a different way that will then lead on to other ways, if that makes sense. So think of a time when you have had a conversation with somebody, or you have listened to somebody else's conversation, and actually listening to communication really helps you to improve your own communication. If you start to listen to how people are interacting, you'll see that combative listening that we talked about yesterday, and you'll see this, I'd like to share my story with you, my agenda way that people engage as well. And it happens quite often because we are quite lazy in our communication. And I've said before during the last 7 days that, you know, it's all about us. We come at everything from our own point of view, and we don't consciously think of the way that we're communicating with other people. Now, when people have a problem or a challenge, actually what they want, probably more than anything, is somebody just to listen to them without trying to solve the problem, without giving them advice, without sharing what happened to their Aunt Mabel in 1966, but just to reflect back and help them to see a different way. And by doing that, you're allowing a person to find a route for themselves. There's no judgment, there's no problem solving, there's no I'm back on my agenda, it's all about the other person. So for today, I'd like to take that away and have a think about that. Have a think about some of the conversations you have around when you have made it about you. And I don't mean that in a negative way, I really don't, because unless you are told that's how we communicate, how would you ever know? You would just carry on doing it, because it's just a way of life, and it's a way that it's a habit, which is what it is. It's a habit which we do every day in our day-to-day conversation. We don't stop and listen, and we don't stop and reflect back what the other person is saying to us and help them to see a different way. And it's so powerful that we know that when we speak to people in crisis who are at that level where they want to take their own life, that actually they don't want to die, they just can't see a way out of the situation that they're in. And when we reflect back and use language, appropriate language with the other person, and allow them that space and allow them that time to look at a issue in a different way, they often come up with their own solution to the problem that they've got. If you ever get a chance to watch any of the Golden Gate videos, there's loads on YouTube about survivors of Golden Gate videos where people have jumped off the bridge. 190 people have been rescued from jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, and all of them said as soon as they jumped they had a regret, which I find incredibly interesting. And what a powerful way just to make a difference to somebody in their everyday life. It doesn't have to be as impactful as somebody jumping off Golden Gate Bridge, but it could be a friend of yours who just wants to be listened to for a period of time, to help them to externalise rather than internalise a challenge that they're facing. And it could even be with your children who might have something going on at school. And we'll come on to that, I think, when we talk about emotional conversations and how we're very different when we're emotionally involved as to when we're very rational and logical and not emotionally involved with somebody. So that's the end of today. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Please share, please let me know your thoughts and your views, and if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover. And I look forward to seeing you on day 8 of the 10-day challenge. Thank you very much.